Start game now. Welcome, retro fans, to Retro Reviews with the No Swear Gamer, where we try and have a retro good time in a family-friendly manner. Today, we are going to continue the ABCs of Retro Gaming series. Last time, we picked it up with Aladdin for the Sega Genesis, but today is the letter B. B as in Batman duct tape that glows in the dark. Very cool stuff. You should pick some up. But B also is the start of several games. As a matter of fact, I had a hard time deciding which game in my collection beginning with the letter B I should do first. So I went on the interweb, several social media sites and whatnot, and I posted my collection of B games and said, hey guys, which game should I pick for my next review? And I had several suggestions, but the one that came more than all the others was Blackthorne for your Sega 32X system. Blackthorne is considered one of the better games for the 32X. We will find out if it's worth that because the 32X just didn't have that many games. Looking at this cover art, the first thing I'm reminded of is 1990 comics. Really reminds me of the 90s in here. I think it's a pretty good job here. It's got the purple and the reds going on. You know these guys mean business because they have no pupils. That's right. If your eyes are all white, you're serious. So Blackthorne, it is rated T for teen. So to keep this review family friendly, there might be a few scenes that I will not include the video, but I will tell you about it during the video itself so you can decide if this game is right for you. It is rated T for animated violence. Also, when the character shoots one particular bad guy who is green, you can clearly see blood on his chest. So to have a little fun, I decided to put a little bow on him instead. So you can make a little game of it, count the bows, see how many there are in this video. Hopefully not too many, because that means I have to do a lot of editing. So let's go ahead, take this Blackthorne 32X game, pop it into our Sega 32X mushroom, and see if it is mushroom magic or not. Hey, guess what? This is going to be funny. Right after I got done recording my intro, I was looking through an old magazine of Electronic Gaming Monthly, and it turns out, according to one of their ads for this game for the Super Nintendo, that the artwork was done by comic artist Jim Lee, who was very big in the 90s, so it makes sense. I wonder if Jim Lee has pupils. Anyways, let's go on. Blackthorne is a one-player platforming game, kind of in a similar vein as of a Prince of Persia or Flashback. Now, in it, you play Kyle Blackthorne. What a coincidence. He has the same last name as the game. Who would have thought? Turns out it looks like his daddy sent him to Earth a long time ago, kind of like Superman. Except now he's returning to his home planet Toll to avenge his murdered father, daddy died, and restored the shattered light stone. And he's out to conquer the evil forces of Skeletor. Wait, no, I'm sorry, it's Sarlacc. So yeah, he comes back to Earth looking like a cross between Cher and Fabio, very 90s, with his blue jeans and t-shirt on, and a shotgun. That is your primary weapon in this game. Now in this game you're going to use your shotgun constantly. However, it starts out kind of weak, and as the game goes on it gets powered up here and there. At first it starts out a little bit weak and you can only shoot one bullet at a time, having to reload in between every bullet, so you can forget constantly mowing down enemies like Contra. It's going to be very, very deliberate in this game, and that's a good way to explain the game plan in Blackthorne. Is very deliberate. Every step, every jump, every thought has to be deliberate, or else it will cost you. So let's go back to the gameplay. The A button is very important in this game. It draws out your shotgun and it puts it away, and this is a very crucial element to the game, because when you are not carrying the shotgun, you are allowed to go through doors by pushing the up button, but if your shotgun is drawn, you have to put it away first. So be prepared once you get through that door to draw it again. Also, if you want to jump and grab onto a ledge, well, you can't do that holding onto a shotgun, can you? So you're going to have to put that away before you climb up ledges or drop down and grab things falling down. The B button will shoot when you have the shotgun pulled out, will shoot in front of you. The C will do a cool no-look shot behind you that isn't as efficient, but sometimes you won't have time to turn around and you will want to use that. Also, if your shotgun is put away, the B button will jump and the C will run. But this game is very, very, very picky. You have to run just and jump just at the right time. So running around is not a good idea in this game. You're going to want to kind of walk around one step at a time to get your footing in this game. because if you fall off a platform, you will lose health, or if it's far enough, you will die and have to restart the level over again. Again, very, very picky. If you want to grab onto a ledge, you have to be right under it and hit the jump button to grab onto that. And you also want to look out for booby traps, usually a metal platform on the ground that you'll want to jump over, or face a Gatling gun that comes out of cave walls, just like real life. Also, you can grab items throughout the game, mostly consisting of keys and bombs, sometimes potions as well to help you. Every one of those are vitally important, and sometimes in the levels you will need each one for a specific act, so do not waste them. One time during the game, I accidentally threw a bomb, and when I got to the end of the level after playing about 20 minutes, I did not have a bomb left to blow a metal door. So no matter what I did, no matter how many times I shot my shotgun, there was no getting through that door. I had to restart the game over again. Actually, if you hit the start button to pause, it gives you the option to give up because it knows sometimes you will find yourself in that circumstance. So on the 6-button controller, which is highly recommended for the Sega 32X version of this game, otherwise you have to use button combinations and that can get real messy. On the 6-button controller, your X button will use an item in your inventory, which is seen on the right hand side of your screen. The Y and Z buttons will scroll up and down. Also, one important feature that is not like Prince of Persia or Flashback, if you hit the up button, it will hide you in the shadows. This is very, very necessary for taking on your enemies. Now, your enemies typically are these kind of green or red brutes that walk around. They look more like mutant prison guards, if you will. You're going to want to hide in the shadows when they shoot at you to avoid their bullet fire, but they're smart. They can hide too. So you kind of play this cat and mouse game, hiding in the shadows, jumping out just at the right time to get a shot in or two, and then jump back in to avoid being hurt, because potions are very precious in this game and you're not going to see a lot of them. Let's move on to the graphics, shall we? First of all, I have to say that this is a dark game, and I mean that in two senses. First of all, it is a dark world, very kind of creepy almost, if you will, but also it is such a dark game that on some televisions people will complain about not being able to see everything going on. Thankfully on my TV this was not an issue. However, when I translated this video to YouTube, I actually had to brighten it up a bit so you could see it, so I could see how some people could have trouble seeing in this game. Now, even though it claims to use all 32,000 colors of the 32X, it doesn't really look like it makes good use of them. A lot of the backgrounds end up being kind of bland. It's almost as if they used 4,000 shades of brown for their caves and another 5,000 shades of green for their forest. Everything looks kind of like the same color palette for the most part, and it's hard to really differentiate between where you are in a level. It will be really easy to kind of get turned around because there's not a lot of landmarks and everything kind of looks the same. So I was a little disappointed in that. And also the enemies for the most part aren't too numerous and aren't too varied. Some of them are nothing more than just color palette swaps. However, the animation in this game is amazing. It has really, really good animation, really fluid. I don't know if they did the rotoscoping technique that they did for games like Flashback, where they actually digitized live actors' movements, but I wouldn't be surprised if they did, because everything looks very lifelike, especially your character Kyle Blackthorne when he moves. He looks very lifelike walking around on the planet. However, this also led to something that was a little bit disturbing to me. Throughout the early levels, you have a lot of prisoners of his home planet who look just basically like human guys with long hair. And some of them are chained to the wall, one arm in each chain, kind of like the old times that you imagine in medieval times, with their arms spread out and their head hung low. However, if they are caught in between gunfire, either by yourself or by an enemy, they will immediately get shot off kind of violently. One of their chains will break and there will be immediate blood on their head. That's one of the segments I won't show in this video. I think it's just too unfamily friendly to include, but just so that you know it's there. Now, have I seen more violent stuff in video games? Absolutely. But I did find this one just a little disturbing. Which brings me to another gameplay element in this game. Yeah, it's a real life game. Your shots can affect the people you are trying to save, and sometimes to your detriment, because these people will often give you items, and if you kill them, whether by accident or on purpose, you sadistic little person, if you kill them on purpose, you may not get that element. So you'll want to be careful with that. I did think that was an interesting gameplay element, and it's one that I would have kind of been interested to see him explore some more, because word of your antics gets around as you read some of the dialogue in this game. So it'd be interesting to see if some of the prisoners would turn on you and refuse to help you, even if you didn't hurt them, because they heard that you were blasting their buddies in the other caves. But that they did not do that. But they did add a little bit of realism where you can lose elements by being careless with your actions. Okay, let's move on to the sound. The sound effects are good, but very minimal. Shotgun sounds like a shotgun. There's a few sounds here and there. I did chuckle at one when these kind of mutant guards, if they get a cheap shot in on you and punch you, they'll let this laugh out. They'll sound kind of like this, like, And I kind of laughed at that, and while they do that, it gives you a chance to recover and get back at them, so I thought that was a little bit funny, but there aren't too many sounds. Actually, this whole game is kind of minimalistic. Not a lot of details in the environment and not a lot of details in the sound. As a matter of fact, I thought the song I heard at the beginning of the game pretty much played throughout every level. I didn't hear very much any difference at all. I don't even know if there was a difference, if it was just the same song over and over again. So even though it was very atmospheric, even though it fit where you were at, I just kind of found it lacking. Nothing I would want to download to my iPod if I had one, which I don't. Okay, so let's go on into family friendliness. Obviously, this game is rated T for teens, and I think that rating is probably fair. I would not say that this game is for young ones at all, because it is very dark and because there is some violence in it, and it is a gun battle, and it can get violent at times. So I think kind of like a PG-13 rating would be appropriate for this game. There is no swearing that I noticed in the game. There might have been some light in some of the dialogue I didn't get to. There's not much talking at all, just a little dialogue boxes. Some of the enemies will bleed, but some of the red ones you can't tell because they're red anyways, and it's just red pixels, but others you can see the blood on their chest. Have I seen gory stuff? Yeah, absolutely. This is not Mortal Kombat, but it is a violent game. Alright, so eBay prices. Well, guess what? This is a highly sought after 32X game. Probably because it's one of the very few good ones out there, and I'm guessing it came out later in the life and didn't have a big run. If you want to get a loose cart, the prices fluctuate because there's not a lot of options on the eBay. But if you want to get a loose cart, it was looking somewhere in the $50 range. And if you want a complete version, now remember, a lot of these 32X games came in these cheap cardboard boxes. You see, late in the 90s, Sega decided to be friendly to trees and unfriendly to game collectors. So it went to this cardboard format that got destroyed really easily. If you want to get a complete version with that cheap box and the manual, it's going to cost you about double that. You're looking at the $100 range, maybe a little more, maybe a little less, depending on what's out there, because I just didn't see a lot of copies available. Would I recommend this game? Here's the deal. It played really good for what it is. I liked Prince of Persia, I liked Flashback, and I liked some of the gameplay elements. But at times I did get a little bored because after a while the levels started to look the same. I did find one secret though. I am kind of proud of myself. Don't know if you've ever had an experience where you found a secret without looking in a magazine or on the internet, but I did find one secret. On one of the snow levels, if you use this little levitator and go up a screen, you will find the Lost Vikings, who were also made by Blizzard. So that was a cool little thing, and I think you also get a potion as well for finding them, so that's neat. But anyways, let's go back to it. Would I recommend this game? Well, you see, it gets really repetitive. Now, it does give you a password option after every level, and there's at least 20 of them. It gives you a password. Now, like I said before, every level can take 10 to 20 minutes, and they come in kind of groups of 5, like 4 or 5 levels per world. So you're going to look at the same backgrounds and pretty much the same enemies for 4 stages, and each stage is about 10 to 20 minutes. And if you happen to die, which you probably will at the end of a stage, you have to restart all over again. There's not checkpoints within the individual levels, but they do divide the worlds into these 10 to 20 minute chunks. You have to start over, and there was just sometimes after working so hard to get to a point and then I accidentally fall off a cliff and die, I was just like, I just don't feel like going through all that again just to try and make that jump or just try and defeat that enemy. But later on I might get the itch and I might have tried again. I kind of think it's too long. I really do. It is a long game. So if you like Prince of Persia and you don't mind the length, yeah, this might be the game for you. But for me, I enjoyed it while I played it, but at the end I just said, you know what, I think I had enough. I think I get a taste what this game is about, and I really don't need to play another 10 levels of each 10 to 20 minutes each. So is it a good game? Yeah. Is it one that you definitely must get? I don't know. You know, it's kind of up to you. The price kind of puts it out a lot of people's price range. I kind of wish it was shorter. Don't usually say that, but yeah, I kind of wish it was shorter. All right, so anyways, let's go ahead and rank this game. It's a good game. Violence aside, price aside, the gameplay itself is good. So if you put those two things aside, where would I rank it? Well, I wouldn't put it above Bust-A-Move 2. I just constantly have fun with that one. I wouldn't put it above Aladdin, which is one of the best platformers there is on the Sega Genesis, which should say something, because Aladdin competes with this game, even though it was just a 16-bit Sega Genesis game and not a 32X game. But I would put it kind of right underneath that. So let's go ahead and put it in the number 3 spot for now. And I think that's a good spot for this game. So there you go, 32X Blackthorne Craft by Blizzard. They make a lot of craft, don't they? It was also released on the Super Nintendo and the Game Boy Advance, and I believe both of those versions are blood-free, but they might also be missing the snow level, if that means something to you. It was also released on the PC. Okay, just wanted to give some shout-outs while I'm here at the end of the episode. I wanted to thank Zachary, Eric, Sweet, and Dub. Both those guys are from the Retro Obscura podcast, and Jungle Rat Rob from the Retro League podcast for recommending that I look into Blackthorne. Thank you guys, I really appreciate that feedback. Also want to give a shout out to Dustin, Aaron, Ashley, and Jotham for suggesting some other B-name games like Bad Dudes, Bouncers on the Sega CD, Bob on the Sega Genesis, and Battletoads and Double Dragons also for the Sega Genesis. Guys, I might be putting that in a future episode, so stay tuned for that. Thank you again for that feedback. If you'd like to leave me feedback, go ahead and meet me on Facebook. Go to facebook.com/TheNoSwearGamer. I would love to meet you there. Also, stay tuned for more. Next up is the letter C. I already have the game planned. If you'd like a hint, here you go. Would you like 1 lump or 2? There you go. Can you guess what game it is? We'll be finding out real soon. Thank you for spending some time with me today. I really appreciate you making me a part of your day. And I just wanted to say, once again, would you please hit the subscribe button if you like videos like this, and also hit the like button. I would appreciate that greatly. So, to one and all, I say, have a retro-rific day.